Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the South Kesteven series, 83 parishes surrounding the town of Grantham in southern Lincolnshire, which are full of history. Let's check one of them out. Welcome back to South Kesteven, everybody. Now this one has got the potential to really annoy me. It's a lovely village. I've just had a little drive around of it to do today's drive-in and it looks beautiful. I'll be honest with you, it's going to be one of the most beautiful villages we've seen so far in Lincolnshire. However, it could really do with one solitary footpath which would make it a circle. The path in question, should it exist, would run across this field because it would do me a lot better to walk across this and make a circle than have to do what I'm about to do and go the linear way around. You can see the church spire over there. That's effectively the other end of the route. If there was somewhere, some way somehow to connect this street here where I've parked to where the church is, I would be a happy man. However, it's never that easy, is it? Welcome to North Witham. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. This week in South Kesteven we come to the second of the two Witham twins. This is North Witham, located along the upper course of the River Witham, which we've just forded in this drive-in. The Witham will make a couple of appearances in this episode because it skirts very close to the village in a couple of places. North Witham is 1.5 miles downstream of South Witham and approximately 9 miles south of Grantham. The eastern portion of this parish, much larger than the village itself, includes the hamlet of Lobthorpe, as well as the eastern side of the A1, including the Fox Inn. The village is perhaps best known for its links with Isaac Newton, who is known to have lived nearby and visited the village on numerous occasions, making carvings in the wall of the church's porch. And speaking of the church, the one that stands here is a spectacular structure, thought to be so extravagant because the early residents of the area included Countess Judith, who was the niece of William the Conqueror, and Saltybrand, the local thane. No details are known of the village prior to the Domesday Book, but there are several traces of medieval farming here, and the site of a shrunken medieval village. And North Witham is also known for a former RAF base, but you'll have to wait to see that one, I'm afraid, folks, because despite its name, RAF North Witham, it's not actually within North Witham's parish boundaries. Let's go. We begin at Northern's Close, which is located at the northernmost extent of North Witham. This is the newest part of the village and the only area of it that's seen any kind of development in recent times. Unlike its southern neighbour, North Witham's historic village core remains its one and only focal point. As we make our way down Old Post Lane towards that, we pass a wooden bus shelter. North Witham is on the route of the number 28 bus between Grantham and South Witham. Now we arrive at the village hall set back from the road. When North Witham was governed by its own parish council, this is where it used to meet. Nowadays, although North Witham is still legally a separate civil parish administratively, its affairs are merged with Colsterworth. A village shop was opened in this hall during the 1980s, but it closed after 2 years. On the crossroads in front of the village hall here, there's a parish notice board. Mark it off, folks, that's 80 left in South Kesteven now. Okay, so from the village hall, if we take a left turn, we're going to go downhill towards the church and towards the ford that you saw in the beginning. And that is where I would like that footpath to have been, but unfortunately, not everything goes my way. Never mind. Now we're heading down Rectory Lane, which will take us towards the River Witham. Most of North Witham is residential, containing as it does some big impressive stone houses and cottages, as well as a few sporadically placed more modern bungalows. In the past, this parish contained two pubs. These were named the Plough Inn and the Black Bull, but both were closed in the 20th century. There was once a telephone box too, but that was removed by BT in 2007 after it was vandalised. North Witham does still retain a postbox from the reign of King George VI though. Records suggest that a school existed in the village prior to 1857, however it wasn't until 1872 that a purpose-built school building was constructed. It no longer stands as it was bombed during World War II, completely destroying it. We've now turned to head towards the River Witham, and before long it appears on the left. It's a mere trickle here, shallow enough of course to ford. It looks nothing like what it does further downstream. So this just goes to show how much rivers change on their course towards the sea, because the River Witham, obviously I'm sure many of you know the Witham as being the river that flows through the city of Lincoln, and of course there it's much wider and looks a lot different to this. Here it's just a mere trickle, and you can ford it here going into this field just as you can at the ford near the church. And speaking of the church, you can see the spire in the distance. That's where we're heading now. Dedicated to St Mary, North Witham's church cannot be missed thanks to its tall spire. It attracts considerable attention because of its striking and unusual features, which include an original Norman doorway. The current tower and spire of this church were erected between 1380 and 1410. It's believed that an Anglo-Saxon church existed on this very site, however no actual evidence of that has ever been found other than patches of herringbone brickwork within the current structure and part of a carved Anglo-Saxon cross in the Celtic style, which you can see on your screens right now. This can be found in the current church porch. There's also another cross in the churchyard. St Mary's has a current ring of 3 bells that were installed in around 1540. It once had a side chapel, but this was later destroyed and its foundations weren't rediscovered until the restoration of the church in 1887. The side chapel is thought to have been where masses were said for the souls of the dead. And of course everything else beyond the church you've already seen thanks to the drive-in, because down there you've got the ford and you've got these other buildings which I would have caught earlier. So now to get back to the start, this is of course where I wish there was a footpath. Well, there is a footpath, but it just doesn't go the right way. We're going to take it though. It's there, look, you can see it's off to the right just opposite the church. That brings you back out on Rectory Lane, so it cuts off a bit of the walk back, but not much. The parish covers a wide area, much more than just the village itself. Today's special section will cover 3 things in that vast area to the east of the village. One thing is the hamlet of Lobthorpe, which only has a handful of properties. It was once much bigger, and there are visible earthworks which show the former extent of it to the south. It was mentioned in the Domesday Book and still had 9 families in 1563. Close to Lobthorpe is the site of a plane crash. In 1973, a Canberra B-2 WJ674 crashed in a field near Woodbine Farm. 2 of the aircrew ejected successfully, but the pilot, Flight Lieutenant DJ Dennis, was killed. Lastly, the parish also includes the Fox Inn on the A1, the site of which is exactly 100 miles from the start of the A1 in London. Once a beer house, it used to serve travellers on the Great North Road. It's now a truck stop and a diner. There were plans to demolish it in 2012, and as of 2021, these are still under consideration. And that's North Witham, people. I found an absolute mountain of information about this one, so I know there's loads I've left out. Even so, hopefully this has given you a general idea. The next one is similarly small and consists of 2 settlements, one tiny and the other just a little bit bigger. I'll see you in those next week. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.